You know what really grinds my gears? When reviewers and publications consistently refer to the Apple AirPods when it comes to reviewing any new true wireless earbuds. But in this respect, I'm going to give them a little bit of grace, because here the One More ComfoBuds actually look pretty much identical to their Apple counterparts. Now these earphones can be found for around £60 in the UK and around $60 in the US. If you're going to be buying it from Amazon, the link in the description below will take you to your localized Amazon store, where I'll earn some affiliate revenue. Now also down there you'll find a list of alternatives that you might want to consider from someone who has heard over 60 true wireless earbuds and has reviewed in excess of 500 audio related devices. And down there you'll find links to my social media platforms, and yes, that's a shameless plug, but if you're on Twitter or on Instagram, very much appreciate a follow. And if you're interested in keeping up with the latest news or reviews on all electric or hybrid vehicles, definitely check out Totally EV. I'm effectively doing a new car review every single week, so it's definitely worth your time. Now jumping straight in, what I really like about these earphones is the actual case itself. It is so small and portable. It's actually one of the smallest cases I have ever seen on a true wireless earphone, and if you compare it to some of its competitors, let's say the Jabra Elite 75T, the Libertone Track Air Plus, which are quite slender, and then the chunky Creative Outlier Air, you can see that the One More earphones are just fantastic in terms of their small case. Now not only that, the case itself is actually quite functional. Other than charging the earphones themselves, you get a little LED indicator at the front to indicate the remaining charge of the case itself, and then you've got a Type-C input as well. There's a Type-C to Type-A cable included in the box. Now here you should expect around 4 hours of music playback. That is quoted by One More at playing at 50% over the AAC codec, and the case itself will provide 18 hours. So in other words, you've got the two that combine for 18 hours. So that's decent in terms of battery life for a case and the earphones of their size. Now when you do get the earphones out of their case, they, well, pretty much are instantly paired to your source device. I can see right now my Samsung Galaxy S10 is already paired to the device, and I must say I was very impressed in terms of how quickly they pair. Now the earphones themselves have got this very, well, Apple-esque design, whereby the stem is a little bit elongated, and then you've got this, well, not quite earbud or earphone design, you've got a somewhat in between. Unfortunately, there's no way of removing the kind of silicone inserts. It would be nice to see different silicone inserts included within the box, actually it being removable so that it will fit different sizes of ears. This really leads me on to the next point, which is actual comfort. Now they are called the ComfoBuds, and personally I don't really find them that comfortable, and I don't find the Apple AirPods comfortable either. This is very much subjective, and it's going to be dependent in terms of your ear canals and in terms of what you're used to. Personally, I much prefer in-ears. So for example, if I take the likes of the Libertone, the Jabra 75T, they very much have a silicone tip at the end of them. Even for something that's a little bit, well, thinner looking, then again, I much prefer the fact that there is a silicone tip at the Track Air Plus. I am not a fan of earbud designs purely because of sound isolation, and also in terms of how they fit within my own ear canals. Your mileage may vary, again, but if you're going to be taking these on a run, just don't expect them to stay in. And very much like the case, what I would say if I had Apple AirPods, but yet I see many runners on the road running around with their Apple AirPods and not having any problems with them. So again, very subjective, but personally I don't find them very ComfoBuds. I found them very loose, and pretty much if I were to shake my head vigorously or do any sort of physical exercise, they will pretty much fall out. Now moving on, we've got the app. Now before jumping into that, I should also mention that the earphones can be used as a master driver, both on the left and right hand side. So in other words, if you have the left one in the case, you can use the right one on its own, and vice versa, which is again quite a rarity at this price point, and specifically for most true wireless earbuds on the market. Now in terms of connectivity to the app itself, I did find it a little bit problematic, specifically when it comes to firmware updates. It's a little bit of a nightmare, but when you do get it running and then you upgrade your firmware and or you adjust the settings, I don't think you're going to be having to go back through the app many times, because, well, it's pretty primitive in terms of what you can actually do. So you've got the smart playback, which is actually quite nice. It's got an auto pause function, so if you want to use that function, you can do so, and you can adjust the setting through the app pretty comprehensively. And then you've also got the custom settings, which effectively determine what the earphones do when you touch them. So yes, these have got touch sensitive pads, and you've got the left and right, which are different. The only thing is over here you can't customize the left to be, let's say, play and pause, and the right as next and track on the same double tap function. It is per segment. So you've got play and pause, previous and next, and then you have got the volume up and down and voice control on a separate tab. You can see over here my double tap is play and pause, tap 3 times is previous and next. You might be wondering, why is there no single tap function? Well, I personally think One More have removed that in order to prevent misuse of tapping, just in case it's quite sensitive in terms of what you're wearing or in terms of how the pads are orientated. As I mentioned, there's the firmware update, and that's pretty much it through the app. Now, in terms of recording quality, the One More earphones actually do a spectacular job, specifically at the price point that they come in at. In comparison to other earphones that I've heard at this price category, or even ones that cost almost 2 times the price or even 3 times the price, it's actually pretty impressive to see what One More has been able to achieve in terms of call quality. Now, just for comparison's sake, here are the Jabra Elite 75T, which I often use as a reference in my True Wireless earbud reviews. So hopefully you'll be able to see for yourself the differences between the two earphones, and just bear in mind that there's a pretty substantial price difference between the two. Now, moving on to Bluetooth codec, it's nice to see that One More has integrated both the SBC and AAC codec, so this will be useful for specifically for iOS users. Still, it would have been nice to see aptX, because you see the likes of, let's say, the Creative Outlier Air, which come in at relatively the same price, offering such codec support, and therefore giving you higher quality transmission if your source device, or for example if you're on Android, can support it. Now, with that out of the way, let's get on to sound quality, and here the earphones house a 13.4mm driver. Now, the dynamic driver actually delivers a really good sound throughout the frequency range. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that my comments here are being made against other earphones that cost at the same price point. If you were to go against more expensive earphones, then of course they're not going to compete. Still, in comparison to the likes of, let's say, the Apple AirPods, they really do deliver in the low-end response. That is, if you do get a good fit, and I am someone who doesn't really like the Apple AirPods due to that reason, but also they're very much the same case with the One More earphones. So the One Mores, if you get a good fit, what you'll find is the sub-bass response is still pretty much non-existent, but the mid-bass does come out pretty punchy, and it does give you a bit more life in terms of your music, specifically if you're listening to, let's say, R&B, pop or dance music, where there's a little bit more emphasis on the low-end tones. Here, the Apple AirPods really can't compete, and the One More earphones just do a far superior job. And furthermore, the mid-bass is actually quite controlled and tight, and it just sounds really nice in this frequency range. Now, the mid-range is recessed and pushed back. It's no surprise given the earphones, but yet again, if you compare them to the likes of the regular AirPods, what you'll find is the mid-range, it doesn't sound as pushed back and as recessed. They come out a little bit more forward. In comparison to other earphones out there on the market, non-Apple branded, what I'll say is that the mids are pretty much on par. If not, in terms of the upper mid response, the One Mores do a better job than some of its competitors. Now, onto the highs, they do roll off at the top end, and they won't sound as zingy as some of its competitors. But in all honesty over here, I think One More have got a good sort of blend. They won't sound sibilant or harsh at the top end, but while they won't give as much excitement as you might expect. I think the highs are okay given the price tag, let's put it that way. Now, as for the soundstage, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's no surprise here to find a set of £60, $60 earphones with a relatively close soundstage with very, well, lackluster width and depth. But it's actually impressive to say good instrument separation, which does actually give life to music, and when you can hear instruments coming from left and right. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're going to be comparing them to the Creative Outlier Air, which have a far greater width and depth, and as a result, better instrument separation, I would say that the Creative Outlier Air will give you a more, well, airier type of sound in comparison to the One More earphones. If you compare the One More earphones in comparison to the Apple AirPods, for example, then you will see the difference between the two earphones, whereby the One More earphones do come out on top. Now, ultimately, what I'm trying to say over here is that the overall sound quality for the price of these One More earphones is actually impressive. That is, however, if you are comfortable using these type of earphones. I personally am not, and I could never see myself using these earphones as a daily driver. But I can see some people out there actually preferring that kind of loose type of feel on their ears, or the fact that they've got smaller ear canals or different type of ears, because everyone's ears is different. Even your left and right ear canals will be different on your own head. So As a result, I can't see myself actively recommending them because I couldn't see using them myself. However, I can see a lot of people actually wanting a type of design like this, and furthermore wanting an earphone that delivers throughout the frequency range and furthermore delivers really good call quality at an affordable price. At which point I can see myself then recommending these earphones. So if you fall into that category, definitely do let me know in the comments below. If you do like this video and want to see more honest, independent reviews from myself, then definitely subscribe and hit that bell notification, as it always helps the channel grow. And of course, favorite and share if you feel that this video will be helpful to family and friend making an informed purchasing decision. Alright, I've been Totally Dubbed. Take care of yourselves and goodbye.